Some considerable percentage of human beings are asleep, always, and many are awake. And so if the world soul is made of the collective consciousness of human beings, then it is never entirely awake. It is never entirely asleep.
Existence, the physical universe, is basically a playbook. There is no necessity for it whatsoever. It isn't going anywhere. That is to say, it doesn't have some destination.
Hello, and thanks for tuning in to episode 2 of Paranomaly, the 4th of March 2017. I'm Paranomaly, aka Ben, and this is Swagger Prance, aka Heva.
Hello, Ben.
Hello, Heva, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
I'm good. I'm getting ready. We're going to jump straight in today. We've got a wide range of stories, a mixture of paranormal, ghost stuff, science stuff, Egyptian stuff, alien stuff, and lots of other stuff. So let's start with a Chilean, however you like to say it, police report paranormal activity while investigating a domestic disturbance. And we'll read a bit from the story. It says, on February 26, 2017, a group of carabineros, that's Chilean police force, were called to investigate a home in Puerto Montt after the desperate owners called the emergency number to complain they were being terrorized by unnatural forces. When they arrived in the house in the municipality of Fe Esperanza, they noticed several broken windows and a partially burned mattress in the yard. The owners were outside as soon as they saw the police approaching, and they started telling them that there was a strange paranormal activity inside the house. Obviously, the carabineros didn't believe them, but they quickly changed their minds once they went inside to investigate. And it goes on to say that the police, they were told there's paranormal activity going on in the house, and a trowel was dropped from the attic. And so one of the policemen went up into the attic, and he sort of shouted out, and he said, "Ask the demon to leave the house." And he didn't get any response. But this is the clincher. So when he decided to go back outside the house, on his way to the front door, he was struck from behind by a knife. His name was Gonzalez, the policeman. He said, "It was super strange. Thankfully I was wearing my bulletproof vest, so I suffered no serious injuries. This was the kind of thing you only see in horror movies, unexplained in real life. At first we couldn't believe it either." So, first of all, Heather, because you found this one, do you believe this is legit?
Well, it's funny because a huge majority of these stories seem to come from South America and other highly Catholic areas. I have
Yeah.
another one out of Nicaragua, Central America. And that one's really funny because that's their go-to. It's like there was no other explanation. It's like, well, it must be a demon. It's a ghost. Like, these are police officers, and
Yeah, there should be much more. Their story is usually held with more. It's got more clout because they are actually just there to do a normal job, so they've got no reason to make it up. And it's not like they would. No one would really want that kind of publicity if it did happen, if it was legit. But it says, going on from that, it says priests were called to the house as well, but they failed to drive away the unwanted guests. At around 2 a.m, the owners of the house were relocated to a social centre, where they remain until someone figures out how to make their home safe again. Now, if anything like this was happening in my house, I would be fucking. If I was just walking in the hallway or something and a knife hit me in the back, Jesus, I would shit myself. I'd definitely do everything I could to get out of there. I wouldn't want to stay in there.
that is something that I was thinking about going over all these stories. Why are you staying in your house? Like, I've had way less than that happen. I've left my apartment. Like, I'm gonna stay in a hotel or something till whatever's going on. I understand that's not. I mean, if you see the picture, if anyone is reading the article and sees the picture of the kind of conditions these people live in, yeah, they're not exactly able to go to the Best Western down the street or get out of there exactly. I'm sure they have their entire family living with them, so they can't really go to their relative's house. But it's just interesting to me that that's the go-to, and I think because it's such religious dogma is so prevalent in these areas that this happens to always seem to stem from.
Yeah.
It's just it's almost like, it's like trepanation when in the Middle Ages, like, well, you have a mental condition, but clearly it's demons, so we're going to put a hole in your head so they can go away. It can't be anything.
That's why, but in this instance, the homeowners were already experienced in these things, and then a policeman was called in, and he experienced it too, so it kind of adds more weight to there actually being a poltergeist in the house, if it is a poltergeist. Or, I'm not really sure of the terminology, what's the difference between a poltergeist and a ghost? Do you know?
Yeah, ghosts are generally, okay, this is what the definitions are. I'm not saying this is, facts, because CERN will debate me on this. Ghost is usually a human being that just doesn't want to leave, can't leave, generally not all up in your grill. They can't really do anything. A poltergeist is more of a physical, they can physically move things.
Yeah.
They're usually extremely angry. They can lash out, fly about. They're more associated with like a demon, I guess.
Yeah.
It could be a human, but not really.
See, we're getting into demon territory now. That's a whole nother kettle of fish. What do we mean by demons now? Do we mean that these are entities that aren't actually part of our world? They're maybe multi-dimensional, or because I'm pretty sure you're the same as well. I don't believe in the heaven and hell analogy, and demons are sort of Satan's spawn, because that makes a lot less sense to me. So I've just seen in the chat, sorry, it's got to be said, Jared, the boss of Radio Confluence, says the poltergeist use bow staffs, and that might be how they knock over all the stuff. But yeah, do you believe in demons?
Well, no, because I'm not Christian. I think that's something that came out of that whole dogma, because demons are fallen angels.
Yeah.
And for that, you have to believe in angels.
But what about sort of like the old shape-shifting demons, and people have seen, like, Convince Yourself Media has put in the chat Eastern ones, and that made me think like the Eastern and sort of Japanese Oriental demons, they're not really tied to the religion. They actually believe
No,
they
that's
are.
true. Yeah.
So in a
a good
world
point.
sense,
That's a very good point.
maybe demons are multi-dimensional beings, or part
Could be.
of another universe, and that might be what poltergeists are.
Well, and again, it's the kind of thing that gets, I don't want to say bastardized, but depending on the culture, they have their own, like, I know the Filipinos tell their kids some little, what is it? Oh, what is that thing called? It's really scary. The super scary thing. It like comes and like steals your teeth or something in the night.
Oh,
So I don't know. Well, but again, they're like
chupacabra, something like that.
chupacabra. That's
Chupacabra?
a Mexican thing.
Oh, sorry. Racist.
But yeah, I mean, it could be. You could be talking about a non-corporeal being, and it just depending on if you're Christian or that it gets turned. It's like the sleep paralysis thing I was talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of the alien abduction people think that they're being abducted by aliens because that's the boogeyman of the time. But back in the 1800s, it was a demon sitting in your chest. Then it's kind of like, I guess, whatever your cultural cloak or thinking is kind of where you're going to get what by definition these things are. So if you're asking a Catholic what a demon is, they're going to say a fallen angel. If you ask, like Matt said, one about the Eastern
Jinn.
right. Yeah, and then there's jinn, which is like the genie.
Yeah.
What we think of as a genie, but really evil. Jinns are evil.
Yep.
Little.
This demon stuff brings us nicely into our next story. Have you got it up, Heva?
The Guatemalan one?
Yeah, the possession.
Or the Nicaraguan one?
Yeah,
Sorry.
would you want to go introduce us to this story?
So that's another one that kind of goes along my thought line of like there's not even a question of what's going on. It's like, yes, that's a demon. So, shocking moment. Possessed girl screams and writhes while pastor performs harrowing exorcism to expel her demons. Disturbing footage shows a 13-year-old girl being held down by her family while screaming in agony in an apparent exorcism. Filmed in the deeply Catholic country of Nicaragua, the video shows a priest trying to expel demons from the possessed teen. I never hear of this happening in West Hollywood, ever, just for the record. The young girl is filmed convulsing while her concerned family gather around her. The teen's loved ones restrain her as the priests perform ritual, and the shocking footage was filmed in the deeply religious country of Nicaragua. So most religions claim that humans can be possessed by demonic spirits and offer exorcisms to cast them out. And by the way, exorcisms have gone up through the roof.
Yeah.
As are certified priests that can perform them. And they say it's because of the rise of pornography and, we're just becoming
It's possible.
deviants.
Yeah, I think it's more down to the business side of things that it's rising, isn't it? Because the priests, they don't do that for free, do they?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. What is it per pot? But this particular one it's an app, I guess. There's a Ouija board app that I guess possessed her, and there's another incident of 20 children having this mass freak out.
Possession.
Yeah.
So they're playing the Ouija board, and that's supposed to be a link to speak to the dead or the other, say, the demon. Because people never seem to say, well, we used the Ouija board and we got a friendly old lady today. It's always they used the Ouija board and they got like some scary demon poltergeist. But
I've used it and gotten just average people.
Normal ghosts.
Right, but yeah, again, you're talking about, a culture where they're almost expecting it. And even the doctors the doctors added, we're not able to find a scientific reason for their behavior.
Yeah, I mean, it does.
But I'm looking at the hospital, and I don't. Where are you getting your medical degree from in Nicaragua?
Yeah,
It'd be perfectly legitimate, but
possessions, things like that, they do go back a long time. So there is a historical sort of validity to those stories. And when you see some of these people that are possessed on YouTube and that, I do always think that that can't be an act. That they surely there's no way they would, even if they're mentally ill. I don't know many mentally. I've never met particularly really mentally ill people, but I don't think they would behave like that unless there is something deeper going on.
There's this Dabu video that just came out that I was watching last night, and it's possible it could be drugs, like something like happened in Florida with that zombie that ate that homeless man's face off. But this video is so disturbing.
Yeah.
It looks like he's perhaps in a hospital, but he's walking like a zombie. His back is like tilted all the way back as if you're like going underneath a limbo bar. They shot him in the face. Shit. It didn't seem to do anything. He's like, yeah, there's, blood's coming all over his teeth. He just keeps going and going and going. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's up on Dabu now.
What's Dabu?
Dabu 7, Dabu 777. He has like 8 YouTube channels.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's a YouTuber.
No, yeah, he's a YouTuber.
I wonder if it is legit and demons do try to possess people. For what do you think would be the reason that they would do that?
I don't know, just to be jerk.
Just to annoy people.
No, they feed off of, when you're talking about a poltergeist or a demon, not a ghost.
Yeah.
As we think of ghosts, they feed off of fear. That's what powers them. So
it's interesting. I wonder if there is a kind of, because fear is almost the opposite of happiness, and fear would be the opposite of, I don't know, I suppose innocence. So maybe there is some kind of force out there in a multi-dimensional sense that does feed on that, and because they can't actually be in this dimension, maybe when they possess people, it allows them to feed more from this place. Because if I do believe that stuff happens, the science side of me, I have to put it into multi-dimensional thing, because that's the only thing I can't really explain. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise it is heaven and hell and underworld stuff, and I don't think there is an underworld.
Yeah, that's how I tend to think of it, is multi-dimensional.
Yeah. And
that might be why it seems like children seem to be, it happens more so than adults, or at least, teens, preteens to children. That makes sense. I mean, you're going to want someone that's innocent, and of course, that would instill so much fear in the parents and the family, and people have more sympathy for a child than an adult.
Well, another strange thing that leads us on to our next story is, with these exorcisms and demons, are they necessarily tied to people, or are they tied to a location? And we're going to play a clip now. It's from Indiana exorcism house of LaToya Ammons is demolished. Clip is now played.
A Gary home that gained national attention when claims of demonic activity sparked police and DCS investigations, as well as a series of exorcisms, is no more. I'm joined by star reporter Marissa Kwiatkowski, who first brought the world the story of the home previously occupied by LaToya Ammons. That home, earning the title of Demon House, has been demolished. And Marissa, if you could kind of bring people up to speed about when that demolition took place and kind of what sparked that.
Sure. So the demolition took place about 2 weeks ago, and it was filmed as part of a documentary that Zach Baggins, the host and executive producer of Ghost Adventures, is filming, which should be out later this year.
All right. And of course, for people who didn't have a chance to check out the original story, what kind of claims of demonic activity took place at the home?
There were lots of different claims of demonic activity relating to the home, specifically that LaToya Ammons and her children were possessed by demons. There were claims of muddy boot prints in the living room that they didn't know where it had come from, claims of a demon in the closet, and there were also claims of levitation at one point.
And of course, when the story did run, made a huge splash. With all that attention and activity, what kind of things were happening at the house in the 2 years leading up to the demolition 2 weeks ago?
Sure, so there have been a few things happening. So within a few days of our article running in 2014, Zach Baggins did buy the home and begin filming his documentary. There's also been another documentary in the works as well as a movie deal. And the home itself has been the target of vandalism as well as seances in the front yard.
All right. So I'm sure this is not the last we're going to hear about the Demon House. Stay locked with IndyStar.com as the rest of the Star team and Marissa bring you more updates. For the Indy Star, I'm Justin Mack.
Thank you, Justin Mack. And in case you just tuned in, that wasn't Swag and I talking. That was a news report from a website, which I have to close now. So, Heva, you there? Have you muted yourself, Heva? I can't hear you. Hello? Uh-oh. We have technical issues. Hello, Heva. Well, while Heva's gone from the air, I haven't changed anything. Sorry everyone, we have technical problems. It must be because I loaded up a clip.
Are you back?
Ah, there you are. I can hear you now.
Oh.
What happened there?
My thing came out of my mic. I don't know how. It was a poltergeist, clearly, because I'm not moving around. It's really weird.
Never mind. Let's smooth over that. So, yeah, so that was a story of a house that had actually been kind of possessed. So that makes things that throws a spanner into the mix now, because why do you think a location might be possessed and not an actual person?
Well, yeah, the poltergeists, from what they can haunt a house. Some of them can travel with a person. They'll attach themselves to a person no matter where that person moves. They will come with them their entire life. That Ammon story, I remember that when it happened. It started around 2012, kind of came to a head in 2014. I actually know someone that lived in back of that house. That was a rental house. And, yeah, he said it was very, obviously very strange. And that's another one where, so that happened in Gary, Indiana. And that's another one where you have the doctors, you have the police that are attesting to know something very strange is here that I have never experienced before.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Zach Baggins from Ghost Adventures, I think he actually bought the house.
Yeah, they said in the report he bought it.
Yeah,
sorry.
He's the one that ended up tearing it down. So, yeah, that's a strange one.
But see, I don't understand why, if it's tied to that location, how would tearing the walls down make any difference? It's not like,
well, right.
Yeah, but then again, that house, I'm assuming, is not very old. It looked like one of those prefabricated ones that they build in like a week or less, a couple of days. They just knock it up. It wasn't like a brick house, was it?
Well, that's Gary, Indiana. And that's the I would say that thing's probably since the 50s or the 60s. That's just the sort of architecture that's over there. It's not great. It looks like like barely any foundation. No bait. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's older. It's not like a brand new, not one of those manufactured pop-up homes. It's got to be at least like 40 years old, I'd say. But I guess so no one else lives in it. I mean, yeah, tearing something down, I wouldn't think. I mean, if a poltergeist is really there, is not gonna.
Yeah, I mean,
free it. I mean, it's walls. What does a poltergeist care?
But if that place has only seen one generation of people living there as well, how could it be a poltergeist in that location? Or maybe like you said before, maybe they sort of choose where to stay, or maybe it followed that person to that location and caused them havoc before they finally got out there and knocked the house down. But I wonder, it would be interesting to keep an eye on that location and see if there's a new build that goes up and see if it still happens.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Who's going to be the next? Well, the landlord said he'd never had any issues before or since. In 2014, someone else moved in. I don't know if that's Zach that they were speaking of, or there was someone that briefly, maybe just a family that moved in between the Ammons leaving and Zach moving in for the ghost show. Which, when he bought it and moved in, it made me really suspicious. Like, was this whole thing kind of set up because they're gonna eventually have some ghost hunters, but like it's some elaborate marketing campaign for a new show or something.
Well, this is another thing that brings us nicely onto our next set. I think everything's linking kind of well, and that's all these ghost people and stuff. When they do the documentaries and they try and do ghost investigations, you never really get any solid sort of evidence. You never get a photograph or a film, or they say like the temperature changed, and they can show that, and a lot of the time that could be down to drafts and stuff, or you get funny noises, and that's just the expansion of the house when it gets as temperature changes. But our next story is an actual photo of a ghost, and it's on click on Detroit, which is weird news section, and it says ghosts photobomb picture of 13-year-old girl on a fishing trip. And just looking at the picture, it looks legit. There's a young girl in the back of a truck, I want to say, and she's taking a selfie, and in the background you can sort of see, I think that would be her dad, and he's getting something out the truck, and next to her dad there is a black guy, but he's kind of like transparent, he's translucent in a way. And this one's, I looked through it earlier and I was kind of like, fucking hell, like, that one seems legit. What do you think, Heva?
That's a really creepy one. It's odd because a lot of times these things, when you used to take your film to the booths to actually get actual film to get developed, all kinds of strange things happen. Now mostly it's digital. I don't know. I mean, that's clearly, it's not like a wisp when you see these pictures and it's a sort of like an amorphous fog or something. Like, this is a person standing there, and the way the dad's configured, he's like right on top of him. I mean, he wouldn't, you know what I mean? There's another person where you see perspective, and that he's too close to this figure for it really to be like a man standing there, I guess, next to him.
It's strange. I'm reading now, it says in the articles, people are skeptical because there's a shadow on the dad, and they're saying that...
But it's coming from the wrong direction,
though. It's coming from a different direction. And I don't know, it's just the girl looks so innocent in the picture. It does just genuinely look like she took a selfie and then she captured that, which is it's kind of freaky stuff. I mean, if they're on a road and we're assuming ghosts do exist, that might have been, if that is a ghost, that might have been someone that maybe died in a car crash in that spot, or
looks like a hunter.
Yeah, he's got a cap on.
Or a fisherman.
Yeah, it could. The thing about that is actually, it's because he's got a cap on like that style. It can't have been that old, like the ghost. If it is a ghost, like, I mean, he's deaf. He couldn't have died that long ago. And maybe, do you think that's kind of do you think ghosts have like a sell-by date where after a certain amount of time? Because if they are legit, we'd be seeing ghosts all the time, wouldn't we? From all different eras of history. We'd be seeing
a million.
Yeah, there'd probably be more ghosts than there are people, which is strange.
Yeah, I think about that a lot too when you're thinking about the legitimacy of ghosts. I will tell you though, when I was at the Ambassador Hotel, case you need a history lesson, the Ambassador Hotel is this hotel in Los Angeles that opened in like 1921, I think. But it's most notably where Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated in 68. They closed it in 89, but it's used for a lot of filming. I was there for the Gilmore Girls, and I was walking through the kitchen, and I was maybe like 23 or 24, shortly after I moved to Los Angeles, and I had no idea about the history of the Ambassador Hotel, let alone what happened in the kitchen. And we were just walking through to go on set, and all of a sudden, like, I stopped, and I just felt this, like, it was like a punch in my solar plexus, and I just got, like, the shakes, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. I'm like, what happened here? Because I can feel that stuff. I don't sound like Matt's like, you're a total flake. I can hear him in the chat. But I can feel this stuff. And one of my, I don't want to say coworkers, someone else on set was like, you don't know what happened here? And I was like, no, I don't. What happened? He's like, this is right where Robert F. Kennedy was shot. And I was like, oh. And we were right in the kitchen, going through the kitchen. So they've demolished it since in 2005. But
that is strange.
I mean, that stuff like that happens where, I mean, that's what I do definitely think there's some sort of like or at least an imprint that this stuff, these events leave on our world, at least in our dimension, because that was like, I couldn't explain it. I had no knowledge of that happening. I mean, I obviously knew Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated, but I didn't know it was right there, even at that hotel.
Well, I like that.
Which makes me sound like a complete idiot, but
I like that
I was
way
in my
of
early
thinking.
20s to my...
Yeah. Well, maybe some events, that's why it might make more sense that some events are so impactful and so traumatic that they kind of do leave, like, what would be a good analogy? Say they leave like a scratch on the record, and the record just keeps going round, and then every now and again, the scratch comes back up, potentially, and that leads us again, another nice link, a scratch on the record. We were past the halfway point, and we're going to play a new song, and this is a song dedicated to Swagger Prods, aka Heva, aka Paranomaly host, and this is called Space Finks. Oh, sorry. that was Space Sphinx, a track dedicated to Heva, and that was 3 minutes and 33 long. So there's synchronicity there. And
Ding!
ding, 33 ding. We should have a bell for that, actually. Maybe I'll get Jared's one. But that song, Space Sphinx, obviously Sphinx is a cat and heavily associated with Egypt. And our next story is taken from the 27th of February 2017. So it is not even a week old. And a new team of, I say, archaeologists are set to scan King Tutankhamun's tomb to look for the hidden chambers that they believe might be there. And I love Egypt, and I think most people do. Like we like the mythology of Egypt, and it just doesn't.
I even have a tattoo for it.
Have you?
Yeah.
What is it? Pyramid.
It's an Akhet symbol. Okay, so.
Oh, the
interject.
Ankh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Not the Ankh.
Oh,
no,
not the Ankh.
It's Akhet. So I had this dream when I was, oh god, I don't want to give the years, but I was early 20s, that I had all these just crappy tattoos all over me, and I was like, oh, that's weird, that sucks. But I looked down at my shoulder, like on my chest, and I was like, there's a symbol, and I was like, what the hell is that? And it just, like, it imprinted in my head, and I couldn't get it out of my head, and I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and I stuck it in my wallet. It was in there for a year, at least, and I was like, I just couldn't get it out of my head. I'm like, that's it, I have to have it tattooed. And then I started researching it, and yeah, it's like the two horizons. So the Jew, like DJEW, is a mountain symbol in like hieroglyphs, which is associated with Hathor, by the way. But this is that with a sun on it, and it's the horizon that embodies the idea of both sunrise and sunset. It's similar to the Jew or mountain symbol, but it has a solar disk in the center.
I can't really picture it. Is it like the all-seeing eye on top of a pyramid?
No, it's just a circle. Like, there's two. They look like they could be mountain ranges. They're separated. The one I have, it's not exactly the actual Akhet symbol. It's like a kind of a bastardization of it, and then above it is a circle that's a sun. Supposed to be colored in orange, but
I wonder if that's related to in Egyptian mythology. They believe that the earth rose out from the sea, and that mound was called Ben. Did you know that? Yeah, I think you did know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this story, we're getting into, are there things hidden in the Egyptian tombs that we have yet to find? Because these archaeologists have discovered sort of infrared and heat signatures behind walls that shouldn't be there. So they might be finding other tombs and stuff. So it gets into the whole afterlife, and why do you think that the Egyptians sort of revered the dead more than they did the living, in a sense, because they treated the dead people, they mummified them, and they went through a whole month-long process, or however long it was, to ensure that they carried on living after the dead. So would you believe that they sort of knew something maybe we didn't?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, not to rehash last week's show, but what I saw on the ayahuasca was pretty telling of that, for sure.
Yeah, because you saw some Egyptian stuff. So I wonder if they get into these secret tombs in Tutankhamun's tomb, and there's also two heat signatures on the Great Pyramid that no one... I can't find anything about it since it came out last year in about
That's right.
September, November. And the Egyptian sort of... They're called... I believe they're called like the Historical something Division. They seem to keep everything really hush-hush, and you never really know what's going on. And with this one, because it's the 27th...
I like NASA.
Yeah, they are kind of like NASA, in a way. And with this one being in the 27th of February and it's just happened, I really want to try and keep an eye on this and see if they do find anything in there, because in the Tutankhamun's tomb, of course everyone knows Tutankhamun is the big gold sarcophagi, and it just looks, it's pretty much the main, it's what most of us would think of when we think of ancient Egypt. We see Tutankhamun's face mask and we see the pyramids and stuff. So if that was what was on show, you know what I mean, if that was what was just in the tomb out in the open, what would they be hiding if they were hiding stuff?
Well, some of that could be they don't want people coming in and ransacking it, or, you know, well, we all know who's really behind ISIS, but groups like that coming in, pulling a Palmyra.
Yeah, I suppose.
So that could be part of it. But there's been all kinds of occurrences of people going in those tombs and then dying, and some of it could be because there's noxious gases. You're like digging into God knows where, and maybe, you know, and there's like, I know even when I was studying archives, you go into some of these areas and you have to have a hazmat suit on just for the rat shit alone, because you'll get serious, I mean, deadly illnesses.
They call it Will's disease, I think.
Yeah.
From rat shit. Yeah, but in the pyramids, I'm not sure about Tutankhamun's tomb, because I think Tutankhamun's tomb was in the Valley of the Kings, but I know in the pyramids they never actually found, there's no soot on any of the ceilings or any of the walls, so we still don't really know how they built them and how they did this stuff. If there's no soot in any of these places, which I do believe, because I haven't found anything that says there is soot in the ceilings, like how are they seeing inside the pyramids to a place, just to take, like, if they carried Tutankhamun or whoever, or that sarcophagi in the Great Pyramid, if they carried it in there and they weren't using torches, do you think that they might have had some kind of electricity?
I've seen things, again, Matt in the chat. Have you seen those?
I've seen.
They basically had. I've seen things where they have levitated the stones.
Oh,
There's a whole like conspiracy theory about that they used alien technology. Aliens came down and helped them build it. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, levers you can build. That's extremely helpful in that. But I don't know, what exactly do you mean by the soot? Like they would have had to use some kind of fire to. They
had no lamps, obviously, or electricity, so.
For the light to.
Yeah, to actually see. Yeah, to see. And some of the carvings and stuff are done on the actual wall surface. They're not. There are a lot of carvings that are done, prefabricated carvings on a slab, and but even then, they still had to carry the slab into the position where it is, and a lot of that would have been in pitch black unless they had torches. But then, if they had torches, there would be evidence of soot on everything, on most things, because there's no atmosphere. There's obviously, well, there is atmosphere, but it's very what's the word? Hermetic environment inside the Great Pyramid. The temperature's pretty constant in there, no matter what's going on outside. So, and have you seen? There's a big carving of what looks like a giant light bulb on one of the walls.
No, maybe they use lightning bugs, which I don't think they're in that environment.
I never thought about that. You know, they might have had some kind of glow,
naturally phosphorescent, naturally occurring substance.
Yeah, that might be. I never thought about that. You know, that's clever. They might have some type of fish or something in the Nile that was luminescent, and they just put loads of the fish in a tube and it lit up. Possibly.
What is that? Is that the coelacanth that has that light on its head? That thing's freaky. But that's
I know
way at the bottom of the ocean. That thing's not floating around in the Nile. So
yeah,
there goes that.
It uses that for bait, doesn't it? That light on its head. I can't remember.
It's a good question. I don't know. And I don't know if maybe, you know, I don't want to say half-life, but of carbon may have just
fell off.
After. Yeah.
But then it would still be on the floor. And it's not on the floor either. Well, they haven't found any in the Great Pyramids. They probably have in the Valley of the Kings, where there are loads of pharaohs buried. But I know in the Great Pyramids, because there's no writings in the Great Pyramids either, is there? Only in the very top antechamber of one, and there's like a little bit of graffiti, and it says Khafre. Did you know that? Yeah, there's no hieroglyphics or carvings in the Great Pyramid. Nothing at all, apart from the very top. And to get to this place, I think they actually have to broke parts of the door to climb up above. It's in the very top antechamber. There's like 5 massive slabs of granite above the king's chamber, and above that fifth slab of granite, there's a tiny little red ochre graffiti on the wall, and it says Khafre. But that's all the only bit of writing in there. But I love the pyramid stuff. I could talk about it for hours, but we won't. We must move on. Our next story is a very interesting one. I'm jumping to UFO expert Max Spears dies after vomiting black liquid, sending a warning text to his mum of impending death. Now, a little background on this. So, Max Spears was a conspiracy theorist, in inverted commas, because, I mean, what does that even mean anymore? He was just interested in UFOs, I think. I like to say that, rather. So, he was doing talks and stuff all over the world. He lived in America for a while, and then he was going to give a talk in Poland, and shortly before his death, he texted his mum, and he said, "Your boy's in trouble. If anything happens, investigate." And then shortly after, he died. And he didn't just die. I mean, he was a pretty fit bloke as well, so it didn't seem like he died of anything natural, because he was vomiting a black liquid, which obviously sounds like poison. And the thing that's really strange about this is, obviously he sent a text message to his mum saying, "Look, I'm in trouble. If anything happens to me, investigate." But also, he may have been about to do a talk in Poland and release information about people involved with a bigger conspiracy to do with aliens. People are also saying he was going to drop stuff on the Pizzagate thing, but yeah, go on.
That's that Podesta connection, because Podesta's all up in both the UFO and the Pizzagate.
Yeah. But he sounded exacerbated. So, yeah, I'm not going into Pizzagate anyway. But yeah, so Max Spears, he was making a name for himself in the world of conspiracy theorists, and he had been invited to speak at a conference in Poland. And this is where it gets even more sort of tricky. He was staying with a woman who he had not known for long, and she was the one that found him dead on the sofa. And his mum immediately, when he died, his mum immediately started asking questions, just questions that anyone would ask, like, is there going to be an autopsy? Can I get the results? And there never has been an autopsy, or if there was, they haven't released any of the autopsy results to the next of kin, which is his mum. And the woman that was with him, she just, to my eyes, she looks really shady. She's got these really dark eyes, and it is known that she might have been part of some sort of cult, and maybe that's what got him killed, because she was sort of like a counter agent to the information he was about to release. But this story is really big in the conspiracy sort of realm, and no one really knows what's going on with it. I can't really find out if they have released a autopsy and stuff, and his mum's still pushing for it, because obviously she's not going to give up, because that's her little boy. And I don't know, it's a really strange one, because why? I mean, to die of vomiting a black liquid, because that's what's been reported by the police.
Yeah, 2 liters of black liquid, which sounds like it could be congealed blood, like severe gastrointestinal.
It's got to be poison,
respiratory thing. Because he's super fit. I mean, he wasn't sick. I mean, that's like, I don't know, possibly like end stage stomach cancer thing.
Oh yeah, really far gone.
You know, I mean, that's not something that you're like, okay, you know, I'm not feeling so good. So hot the past 2 days. I'm going to sit on my couch and then vomit up 2 liters of black goo. And that's natural causes.
Well, that's the thing, because we haven't got no autopsy result. I don't even think there has been one, or if there has, it's very hush-hush. We can only speculate, and that's what I think. This is another story that I'm going to stay close to, because I want to know what really happened to him. What was he looking at? What was he about to release that enabled this to happen? His death. I mean, if you text your parent that if anything happens to me, investigate. You wouldn't do that unless, I mean, that's not the sort of thing you do for a joke, is it? I mean, he must have known that he was onto something and something bad was going to happen to him. And the fact that it's to do with UFOs, that's what really interests me. Like, maybe he might have found out about something that maybe the top sort of American or British secret agencies knew about aliens that they don't want us to know. Maybe he was about to release that.
Yeah, and I can't believe, I mean, that they're finally talking to his quote-unquote girlfriend. And this is only a few days old that they're doing this. He passed, I think, in October of last year. Or no. July. It was actually my dad's birthday. Yeah, July 16th is when he actually passed away. It's been, over 6 months now. And now they're just talking to his girlfriend, and now they still haven't really released any kind of autopsy results. I mean, it takes weeks to get toxicology results, but that should have come in by now. It takes like maybe 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah, well, they could probably do it in a day, but they stretch it out, don't they? But an interesting quote I've reading from the story, it says, both the doctor who examined Max and police who came to the villa left the body behind, in spite of the fact that they believe Max had died. And it says, what kind of officials do this? The entire circumstances are suspicious, and I urge everyone to encourage Monica, that's the girlfriend,
right.
Yeah, to release details about what really happened to the public and call for an autopsy. So yeah, there hasn't even been an autopsy. I think they just put out that he died of natural causes. Puking up 2 litres of... Yeah. I've never heard of that before, anyone dying of just puking up 2 litres of black liquid, so...
Well, not an otherwise healthy man. No.
No. Well, not
That's
in anyone.
something that, I mean, like I said, it sounds like it was probably some kind of, coagulated blood that he would... But, I mean, that's a massive amount, for one.
Yeah.
Matt says it happens all the time. So...
Yeah, maybe.
Dr. Matt, if you can...
I don't know.
Elaborate on that.
It's a strange one. Well,
maybe it's drinking paint.
We're into the last 5, so we've got. Let's go to another story. This one, we're going off now into space. We're going to look at Mars, and this is from Friday, the 3rd of March. So this is yesterday, and I'll go through it briefly. Scientists have put forward a plan to terraform Mars by surrounding the planet with a magnetic field. The incredibly ambitious concept, which would see the atmosphere of Mars being returned to its earlier, more habitable state, was revealed at NASA's Planetary Science Vision 2050 workshop, a meeting in which scientists typically discuss proposals for futuristic space missions. So, Heva, what do you think about this? Terraforming Mars to try and get it back to an Earth-like status.
No. But I'm actually wearing my JPL shirt now.
From NASA. There's probably a bug in there, like it's listening to us.
It's listening to me. Yeah. So, possibly. I recently, a few weeks ago, funnily enough, saw them building the newest iteration of the Mars Rover at JPL. JPL's a very, very, very strange place. A lot of odd history that's a whole other show. They're just weird there to begin with. So the newest rover has lasers on it, which is really interesting. But I guess that's Yeah, it's to help it
Oh, to guide it.
specimens. Well, to help it, I think, take specimens of the, of Mars. This is what we do. This is what we're doing. We're sending up probes to asteroids to mine them because there's so much resources in just one, depending on the asteroid. There's one in particular that's like worth trillions of dollars. And it's weird because NASA has this whole thing that they keep talking about during the tour that they have to leave it like as it was. It's part of their like prime directive. They can't put things. They try as much as possible not to disturb the natural. I would say fauna. That's plants. They're obviously not there, but the natural. They try not to leave their mark, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what they.
Even though they dropped nukes on the moon.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, there's recently a story. This is not in our notes, but I just remembered. There was what's his name? What's the billionaire guy that does SpaceX? You know the guy.
Richard Branson?
No, he's American.
Oh, God.
Well, anyway.
Oh.
It's on the tip of my tongue. That's it. Elon Musk. Thank you, Matt.
Elon
in the
Musk.
chat. Yeah. So Elon Musk has just said that by 2018, there's 2 people going to do an orbit around the moon. It's a private venture. People are paying him the money to do it, and at the same time, NASA's going to try and do it as well. I believe in the same year. So by next year, potentially people could be going on space trips. Only the very rich, obviously, because they'll charge billion. They might even charge $1 billion for it.
I thought it was 100,000 because I remember it must be like 15 years now they were talking about doing this, and it was through SpaceX. And remember Justin Timberlake was signed up to do it. All these celebrities were signed up, but I think it was 100,000 a pop at the time.
That doesn't seem like enough.
And I don't know what happened with that. Yeah, I know, because I think just a ticket on the Concorde was $6,000, and that's going from London to New York. So seems like a pretty good deal.
Justin's put in 70 million plus each, and I think that's more because it costs.
That sounds more. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, it's about $1 million.
Well, for the moon, I'm talking about. This was to go, I think, to the upper atmosphere and back down. This was not.
Oh, okay.
This was not to go to the moon. This was like the first iteration of doing this. It was just to go up and then back down.
More
not
reasonable.
Past our atmosphere. No. This is something else.
Well, I'm going to start saving up now, and by next year I'll be in space. Maybe hosting Paranomaly from space, the first ever radio show to be done from space.
Sounds like a plan.
Yep, and that brings us to the end of episode 2 of Paranomaly. So thanks to everyone for listening. We appreciate it. Thanks to Radio Confluence, Jared for simulcasting. So take care, Heva.
You too.
See you in Radcon. Take care, everyone.